Good evening, everybody. I thank SITM for inviting me today. Basically, being an alumni, it's an honor for me to be here. I'm very glad about that. Firstly, to introduce the panel, we have esteemed members from many backgrounds in the mobile devices and the communication space. I thank everybody on behalf of SITM family for being here today. So, just to start off, we are the last session, so I know many of you want to leave. In fact, some of our panel members want to leave early. So we'll try to stick to the time. We got 45 minutes. We'll try to stick to the session. We are covering the topic mainly on a broad scale, okay? Because as you know, mobile segments, there's multi-segments in the mobile devices. So there's not a single app or a single kind of device that will fit the entire scale, right? So we are trying to refer as many references and examples as possible and cover it to as much extent as possible. And then we'll leave it open for questions, okay? We'll keep it more interactive than what we speak more. We are only touching mainly the wireless devices. We are not touching the wireline space. We will keep it in 3 basic phases. Each of us will talk a bit on that. The hardware innovation, which is on the devices front. Then the consumer perspective, where you come with the apps and content and other stuff. Then how to enable this innovation so that it reaches the broad scale and reaches all masses and get into high volumes so that the economies of scale is achieved. So I would actually start with Arun, since he's from the chipset background. So I will want him to start with the session and share his views on how we are going to look at the next generation devices.
Good evening, everyone. I think when we talk about the next generation, we have to think about the market segmentation, because what is next generation for the low-end device is not the next generation for the high-end device. Whatever is the next generation for the high-end device cannot be the next generation for the low-end device. So as Mr. Ray in the previous presentation also mentioned that the 96% is the basic feature phone. If you go in the price point, 70% of the Indian market is below 3,000 rupees. 90% plus of Indian market is below 5,000 rupees. So if we think about the definition of the next generation, let's start with the ultra low cost. That is a very standard definition in the mobile definition. 3 years before, the definition for the ultra low cost was the basic black and white phone. Around 2 years and 1.5 years back, that changed from the basic black and white phone to the color phone. Recently, it is becoming the music phone, which has a FM, music player, and the T-Flash card. From my opinion, the next ultra low cost phone will have a Bluetooth and the camera in that. Now, whether we consider that as a next generation phone or not, but that is definitely a next generation phone for many, many people in the Indian context, or not only in the Indian context, but many people in the developing countries context. If we go to the next level, right now, if you go to the push mail, if you go to the social networking, you can do it probably in the 5,000 rupees plus phones. Slowly, these things are available on the cheaper phones also. That is also through some innovation. There are many innovations that cannot happen in the ultra high-end phones. As an example, when the dual SIM got invented, it was not invented for the high-end phones because the cost is not the criteria for the high-end people. Cost is always a criteria for the low-end people. So it moved up from the bottom. It started from the low-cost phones and slowly moving up. Okay. Now, if we think about the 3G, if the 3G is going to launch and the MNP, that is number portability, is not in place, how it is going to get implemented? A phone should have a dual SIM which has a 3G plus GSM both. So you can have a 3G SIM and a GSM SIM also in that. Now that is also the next generation, in my opinion. If you think about a feature phone, which is right now selling probably in the 5,000 rupees phone with maybe the resistive touch. Now do you want a capacitive touch, which is much better, and maybe the 3,000 rupees? How will it happen? It's again through innovation. What presented by Jixi is also the same. The video streaming can happen on the GPRS. That's also innovation. So I would like to suggest all of you that when you think about the innovation, don't think only about the Android. Don't think only about the iPhone, the Blackberries. Of course, they have done the innovation. They are doing the top-down. They innovate and then they have to bring to the masses. But you have to also think the whole panorama, whole spectrum, and see that what to innovate for who. Like if Android today, if available in 10,000 rupees, can it be available in 6,000 rupees? Of course, it can be available if we innovate it well. And we want to do that. And that is what only can come through innovation. So I'll focus more on the device, so maybe I want other members to focus more on the other aspect of what we have thought. Yeah. Thank you.
Shankari, can you add from your perspective?
Sure. I wanted to talk a little bit about the consumer piece to the emerging handsets. You know, what Apple did overnight was transform a one-time buy relationship, which is what you have today with your service providers or your device manufacturers, into a perpetual relationship. And they did that with just one stroke of genius. And what we have seen with that is a consumer behavior pattern, which what we believe is going to be in the future is everybody's going to have devices which are going to have multiple applications that will serve a certain lifestyle or a certain need. So whether it is, as he said, at the high end, a business user, you know, someone who's making transactions, the banks, it could be at the lower end of the pyramid. It could be, for example, a fisherman in Kerala who wants to leverage price arbitrage. You know, what is fish selling for in the wholesale market versus here? So that's where we believe the consumer piece of how the devices are going to be used is going to be, and there's going to be a lot of microtransactions, whether it is consumer to consumer, business to consumer, or on the enterprise side. And we'll come back later, talk about some of the economy.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Every one of us knows about the 3G WiMAX already entered into the country. And everyone knows that 3G will be the future of communication in India as well as other parts of the world. 3G enables us with high-speed internet broadband. Future is about content VAS applications and other utility applications for which mobile phones are required of that scale. Smartphones, Android phones are already available. But as in India is an economic country where people buy. The buying power of the mobile phone is less than 3,000 or less than 5,000 for a certain person, which has been shared by Arun already. The mobile phone that enables the mass Indians to use these kind of facilities like 3G and Wi-Fi and WiMAX to use the contents and other applications need to be available in the country within a range of 4,000 to 7,000, which surely all the Indian brands, Indian manufacturers, as well as with the support of Qualcomm MTK, will be delivering into India within next quarter, which will bring a great amount of revolution in the usage of the mobile phone in India and the usage of 3G, which itself will display the highest amount of usage of advanced technology in our country. It is expected that by next year, by 2012, almost 50% of the mobile phones sold in the country will be smartphone, Android phones.
And just to add on the applications fronts, which we see mainly for India and the consumer perspective, since we have such a varied customer base, like if we talk of rural applications, then we are talking of some information, weather information already being passed on to the farmers, and then there is about the fisherman thing which was happening on the west coast. But there could be more applications like exact trading prices. What is the total seeding of, let's say, tomatoes this year? Okay, what was it last year? What was the wastage? So probably the farmers can actually take intelligent decisions on what kind of crops to seed and which are the markets for them to transport. So these are some of the things which could be on the rural side. And when it comes to metros, the LBS and GPS services are still not very matured in our market, as you might be knowing. So we can't actually select the ideal route. We can't understand the traffic congestion. So these are some of the applications that could be enabled over a period of time once we have the 3G space coming into picture. Then I would like Sunil to do for me.